fast target acquisition, and a huge field of view in a rock-solid package. Today, we're talking about Trijicon's MRO. What is up, guys? My name is John with pewpewtactical.com, your definitive source for gun reviews, gear guides, and all things that go bang. If you've been with us for any length of time, you've probably noticed that we've done our fair share of optics reviews, and to that end, it can sometimes kind of be a little bit difficult to find something to talk about with an optic that is still totally serviceable, but maybe isn't groundbreaking in terms of the features that it offers. However, even if an optic isn't necessarily the most exciting thing on the planet, sometimes they do combine form, function, affordability, and durability into a package that we still think is worth telling you about. And personally, we find that Trijicon's MRO, or miniature rifle optic, falls pretty squarely into that specific niche. In fact, it's sort of sitting in a bit of an in-between in a few different ways. The MRO is obviously much smaller than red dots like the larger Aimpoint's or EOTech's holographic sights, but is still slightly larger in profile than a lot of the micro red dots that have become quite popular over the past few years, though it does generally have a wider field of view than the majority of Aimpoint micro T1 type optics out there. Featuring 6 levels of adjustable brightness and 2 levels of night vision compatibility, the MRO is an optic that boasts total visibility in bright daytime conditions, which, if you've watched any previous optic reviews I've done, tends to be a sticking point that causes me to bitch a lot. Not an issue here, thankfully. And we've actually got 2 distinct models of MRO here, both a green dot reflex sight and a red dot reflex sight. I personally think it's worth noting that the green dot variant's actual shade of green used in the reticle is slightly different than what I've seen anywhere else. Most optics that come in a green flavor tend to have a very aggressive, almost neon green tinge to them, and the MRO is a bit more of a subdued lemon lime green, if that makes any kind of sense. I actually prefer that color to the neon green after spending some time with it, as I feel like it winds up being much easier to pick up against the various shrubbery we've got out in our local desert spot. Additionally, without turning this into a science lesson about how the human eye works, the color green is up to 30 times more visible to the naked eye in bright daytime conditions than the color red, which your eye is generally going to pick up more easily at night. This isn't really a universal fact, and obviously everyone's going to be different, but if you do find yourself struggling to pick up a red dot in the middle of the day, consider checking out a green dot and see if that works better for you. The MRO features a 2 MOA dot and is offered in a variety of different mounting solutions, from a super low profile mount all the way to a taller 1/3 co-witness type mount. We've got a Midwest Industries 1/3 co-witness mount with a QD latch on our red MRO, and a stock Trijicon full co-witness mount that utilizes Torx screws on the green dot. Personally, I like the QD capability of the Midwest mount, but if you're not moving the optic around often, this likely won't matter too much for you. The MRO's brightness adjustment knob is actually pretty huge, and sits right in the center of the top plane of the optic. It's actually kind of nice to have the thing that you're probably going to be manipulating the most be the easiest thing to grab, instead of having it relegated off to the side with, oversized windage and elevation adjustment turrets. Additionally, the red dot's battery lasts a pretty impressive 5 years, and the green dot's battery lasts about 1 year due to the nature of lasers. The windage and elevation adjustments are recessed into the body of the optic itself, and turn with either a flathead or a thumbnail quite smoothly, adjusting for 1/2 MOA per click. As mentioned, your field of view through the MRO is going to be a bit larger than something like a SIG Romeo 5 or the similar micro dots on the market right now, although it's a tiny bit smaller than something like a full-sized Aimpoint Pro, though it is significantly lighter. All in all, if you're looking for a higher-end optic that's on the smaller side, but is still a little bit larger than your average micro dot, we'd say take a look at the Trijicon MRO. The combination of absurd battery life and brightness, stellar glass quality, bomb-proof construction, a decently wide field of view, and a green dot variant if that's your jam, all for somewhere in the ballpark of $400 or so, makes this a no-brainer if you meet the above criteria and have the cash to burn. Also, we're going to murder an MRO on camera pretty soon when we do our high-end optic torture test, so be on the lookout for that particular snuff film sometime in the near future. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, as we've got lots more optics reviews and potentially torture tests on the way. Once again, my name is John with Pew Pew Tactical, and we will see you next time.